When you log into the mEMA platform with a research license, you see a page that looks something like this. So this is your dashboard from where you can control your study. You can create a survey, which we'll go and do in a minute, and you can assign your survey to your participants. With a research license, you can also share this with other researchers in your group. So each researcher would have their own login, and they'll be able to log in and share the surveys that you're working on together and share the data set. So first we're going to go to the survey editor, and we're going to build a quick survey that you'll be able to get onto your phone or tablet and see how it looks from the participant's point of view. But this is the survey editor that will only be accessed by researchers, and any surveys that you create will be listed here, and other researchers in your group will be listed here, so you can give them access or not to each survey. So I already built a little demo survey. We're going to go and have a look at that and edit it. So on the mobile phone, the questions that you put in your survey are going to show up in chronological order, unless there's some kind of skip pattern, and they're going to show up one question at a time on the app. So I added a few questions so we can see how they're built. So this is a simple where question, where are you currently? So each time you click in a question field, you'll see the icon set appears, and to edit the question you simply press the edit question button. That brings up a little box, and this box is similar for all the different question types that are in the mEMA system. So the short text gives you a little tag for the question. It's basically a title, and it shows up at the top of the screen for the participant, so you can make that whatever you want. And when you fill that in, the analytics code fills in automatically, but again you can edit that. And the analytics code is what is in the top of the column in your data table, so essentially it's your variable heading. And then the long text is the question that the participant sees on their phone, and you can make that whatever you want. So this type of question is a single selection question. So you can determine how many answers they have to choose from. Here we've got 5, and then you can type in the answers that you want them to be able to choose from. So here we just put in 4, and then the 5th one is other, and so we've got a follow-up question which asks them what other location are they in. And again, you can change the value of each of these if they have a value. So the second question is then a follow-up question, so it only shows up if they answer other to the first question. Which other location? This is just a text entry question, so they can type. And you'll see if we open up the edit box for this, that it's got the same structure, the short text, the analytics code, and then this is the question that they see. And then we've added a dependency, because this question is only going to show up, it's dependent on them selecting the response other to the previous question. So we simply were able to add that in by adding the unique identification number for that response, which is 271008. So we put 271008 equals 5, which is the value. So if they select other, then this question will show up. If they select one of the other options above, 1 through 4, then this question will be skipped. So this one I added as a continuous slider. You'll see we have many different question types, but these are the commonly used ones. So the continuous slider is often used as a visual analog scale. So this is one of the, something like this, assessing feeling or mood. So I just put anchor labels here from really bad to really good, and you can obviously change the value of these to be whatever you want, and again the tag and the variable heading and the question. We're going to put a variable heading in here too. So you can have multiple sliders on one screen. It's one of the only question types that allows you to do that. So I could have more than one slider on one screen. I'm going to stick with 1 for this one. And then this is another type of question that's quite popular, is a range question. So we have 4 different types. 4 different types of range questions that allow you to collect these type of data, so date, time, dates, real numbers, and integers. We're going with a date time. So what this does is it forces the response to be of this data type, so it has to be a date time that they enter, and it also forces the response to be within the range that you specify. So there's a minimum value and a maximum value. So this question I've asked, at what time did you awake this morning? So we put the maximum value as now, so that means that the phone will restrain them from adding a value in the future, which wouldn't make sense in the context of this question. And I put the minimum value at minus 24 hours, so basically 24 hours ago, but this could be whatever you want it to be, so that they can only enter a time or date that fits into that range. And now obviously is determined by the phone. It knows what time it is that the person is filling in the survey. So we'll go with these questions. Let's add one more so you can see how they're added. Very simply, we just add a question. And any of these questions can be copied and pasted and cut. So you can easily add them to other surveys or to other sections of the survey. We're just going to add a question. And actually, I'm going to make it a little message at the end. I'm going to make it a single selection. That's just the message at the end that says thank you. Thank you for completing the survey. And then we're going to ask them, please remember to press the sync button. And you'll see once we get this onto your app that you'll have to press the sync button to send your completed survey back up to the platform. So we're just going to give them a little response to press. And there we go. So there's our finished survey. So we're going to return back to the home page so that we can assign this survey. So obviously when you're running a study, you're going to have multiple participants, and so you're going to use this little button to add a participant. And all you need to do is add a screen name. You do not need an email address. We just type in no email like this, and then you'll assign them to a group, and you can have numerous different groups along here. So each time you do create a participant account, the mEMA system will automatically generate this mobile code. So this is an 8-digit code that is unique to that account. And that's how we keep track of all the data. So you do not need to enter anybody's name, email address, phone number, or anything that's personally identifying. Everybody in the system is identified with this 8-digit code. And that's the code that goes into your app so that the app and the cloud-based system can talk to each other. So we're going to assign our survey to this account, this demo account, which has this mobile code here. So to assign a survey, we just simply click the Assign a Survey button. And so you can see that the survey is for this person, Demo 39, but you could assign it to an entire group. So if you had a lot of participants and you could put them in a group and then just assign it once, so you wouldn't have to do this for each individual person. For now though, we're just going to use an individual respondent. We're going to pick a survey. Any of the surveys that you had made or had been given access to would be listed here. So we're going to pick our demo survey. And we have multiple different schedule types, which I will come back to. But right now we're going to use an on-demand schedule type, which means that the survey is available all the time on the phone. So the participant can fill it in whenever they want. Presumably you'll be most interested in the momentary schedule, which allows you to send timed alerts or randomly timed alerts throughout the day. We also have a repeating schedule, which allows you to set up something maybe you could say every Tuesday at 3 p.m. for the next 6 weeks, or something like that, a repeating schedule. Or a scheduled one is simply just you tell it what time and date you want the alert to go. So we'll come back to this, but for now we're going to just do an on-demand survey. I'm just going to create it. And then it produces the assignment here. So you can see who it's assigned to, which survey it is, and when it starts and ends. And this one by default was for a month. You can go back in and edit the assignment if you want to change that. So you could change this end date to something else. So now you want to open up your app, and there's separate instructions for how to get the app onto your mobile device. But open up the mEMA app on your phone, and if you're on an Apple, you want to go to the little padlock icon, and it says My Codes, and it's going to open up a field with a screen with two fields, one for the mobile code and one for the URL. If you're on the Android, it looks slightly different. It doesn't say My Codes, but there's the same padlock icon in the top left, and when you press that, it'll open up a screen that asks for your user code and your URL. So whichever screen you're looking at, into the user code or the mobile code field, you put this 8-digit number, 883-44896. And into the URL field, you put this URL, mema.illumiview.com. So on the Apple, the illumiview.com should already be there, and so you simply insert mEMA, M-E-M-A dot, before illumiview.com, so it's mema.illumiview.com. On the Android, what is already there is the full URL, which is http illumiview.com, and again you just insert MEMA, MEMA dot before the illumiview.com. And then when you're ready and you've put that in, press done or sync. And what will happen is that the app will pull down all the surveys, and if there were any prompt schedules assigned for you, that would all be pulled down onto the phone. And so that's now all stored on the phone. So if your participant first syncs with the platform and then goes off somewhere where they're out of range, they don't have cellular or Wi-Fi, the surveys will continue to run on the phone. So they'll continue to get alerts at the right time. They'll be able to see the surveys, fill in the questions, and all the data will be stored on their phone until they get back into connection. And then they can press the synchronize button, and that was what will send it back up to the platform. So I'm going to do that now, and then we'll see how the data appears in the platform. Okay, so I filled in the survey on my phone and I pressed sync. So now when we refresh this page, we will see the instance that I just submitted. So when you come in here and you do this with the same account number and you submit an instance, it will show up here below my instance in this table. So it shows you what the survey was, who the subject was, and the respondent, which is the same person. The start time, which is according to my browser, so I'm in Eastern Time, and this was the time that I opened up the survey on my phone. And then this time, which was a very short survey, so it only took a minute, this time is when I submitted it to the platform. So I could go here and I could look at the report, so I can see for this participant what their actual answers were. So each of your participants would presumably be filling in multiple instances each day, so they would appear in this table for each of your participants. And then in order to get the aggregated data set, you have to go back to the survey editor and press this little button here, the flat data file. And there's numerous ways for us to look at this. Let's go with the codes, and we'll do local timestamp. So this is going to give us the data set from everybody. So right now there's only one subject, which is me, but presumably if you had more subjects, they would all show up vertically down here. And then each row is an instance of the survey, and the instances are identified by the timestamp at which they started. So this is in universal time, at Greenwich Mean Time. So for the on-demand surveys, which is what we just did, it's the moment that you press that arrow on the app and you open up the survey that gives it a timestamp, and that's how we identify the survey. And then each of the answers, so each of the variables that we created, each of the questions that we created are here, and these are the answers that I submitted to those questions. So this whole file can be downloaded as a CSV file whenever you need it to be. So I'm going to show you one more thing, which is the momentary scheduling. So we're going to go back to the home page, and I'm going to show you how to assign a survey in a way that it will send prompts to the participant's phone. So when we do an on-demand, there's no prompts. They can just fill it in whenever they want. So we're going to go here, assign a survey, and we're just going to pick it for this respondent. We're going to pick the demo survey. This time though, we're going to do a momentary survey, and it's going to pop up this window which defines the daily data collection period. So these are the times during which alerts possibly will be sent. They will not be sent in the white times. So by default, we've got 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, although you could change this. You could make it whatever you want. And these times are times that will correspond with your participant's phone. So no matter what time zone you are in, and even if they're in a different time zone, if you set something to come at 12 noon and from your time zone, it will come at 12 noon in their time zone. So the system takes care of doing all of that for you. So let's select these times. We'll say OK. So already it's created a schedule for us to correspond with what we just set. The default interval is every 2 hours basically, so you'll see that it's starting on Sunday at 12 and there'll be another one at 2, 4 and 6. So this is non-randomized, so we could randomize it, and then what it's going to do is create pick a random time within that time interval. So sometime between 12 and 2 the first one comes, and then sometime between 2 and 4 and so on. And this, obviously, you can change this interval to be whatever you want, so you can get as many prompts as you want during the day. So the schedule time is the time the actual alert will come. And you'll also see we have a window open and a window close time. So the window open time currently, in the way this is set up, it opens when the alert goes off, so they cannot access the survey before the alert goes off, and it looks to be open for 15 minutes. So they have 15 minutes to complete the survey, after which it will close and they will not be able to access it. They'll have to wait for the next alert, but all of that can be changed. So let's create this. So now we have a momentary assignment here, which we could go back in and edit if we wanted to. So I want to show you this box, which allows you to change the time windows, so the amount of time that the survey is available. So currently you'll see for this participant, and this can be set on a group basis or on an individual basis, but currently for this participant the momentary assessments are set, as we just saw, to start on the alert, although you could change that to be available before the alert goes off, and they're set to end 15 minutes after the alert, although again you could change that. So if we change that to 30 minutes, for instance, and we'll go back and look at the schedule, we'll see that it has changed. So our momentary survey is now showing a window of 30 minutes. So this box also allows you to control numerous other things. You control the time windows for the other types of schedules. There's other options that I'm not going to go through, including enabling or disabling the device sensors, which means we're picking up GPS and acceleration and a few other parameters from the phone. But it also allows you to set reminders. So if that alert goes off at noon and they don't respond to it, you can determine how many reminders they get, up to 0 to 3, and how many minute intervals. So if they don't respond to the first one, you can send a couple of reminders for them to fill in the survey. And of course, once they respond to any one of the reminders, then they stop coming. So whenever you make changes to the assignment or even to the survey, you have to ask, your participants will have to resync. So obviously you want to get this all set up before they sync their app for the first time. So now I'm going to delete the demand survey. And so we've just got the momentary one. So if you were to sync your mobile phone now, you'll see it's changed and you won't be able to access it until the survey becomes available. So you can set this all up for your participants, and then they just need to sync once and it will all get onto their phone, and then as they complete instances and they sync, all the instances will show up here and in the data table.